They say the scariest place is your own mind, especially when you're alone, believing everything is safe. But what if the thing you fear isn't in your mind? What if it's real, hiding in the shadows? What is real won't always leave. These next 3 stories are things people thought were safe. They were wrong. Stay with me until the last one, because the end might make you double-check your locks tonight. I moved into a new apartment. It was an old building, wood floorboards that creaked, hallway lights that flickered. My roommate was out of town, so I was alone for the week. The first night, everything was quiet. I unpacked, made dinner, watched TV. By midnight, I went to bed early. The house was still, except for the sound of the heater cycling. I woke up around 3 a.m. to the sound of soft footsteps in the hallway. I thought it was the cat, or maybe a guest I forgot was sleeping over. But no, the door to my roommate's room was closed, the cat was in my bed, and there was nobody supposed to be in the apartment. I pulled my blankets tighter, tried to ignore it. The footsteps stopped, but then something worse. I saw it. 2 white dots of light, like eyes, glowing in the dark hallway, staring straight at me from the end of the corridor. I froze. My heart felt like it was going to burst out of my chest. For a moment, I thought maybe it was just a reflection, but the lights didn't move, didn't flicker, just stayed there. And I realized I couldn't scream. My throat felt frozen. Then I heard whispering. Not words, just whispers. It sounded like someone breathing, like they were right outside the door. I didn't stay to watch. I leapt out of bed, turned on every light in the apartment, saw nothing. Hallway empty, no sign of anyone. But the eyes were still burned into my memory. Weeks later, I found out this building used to house storage rooms in the basement, and people reported hearing things at night. Footsteps, whispers, sometimes seeing glowing eyes in the corridor. Nobody knows who or what they belong to. I used to house sit for an old couple from the neighborhood. They had a big house in the woods, 2 stories, lots of trees, no close neighbors. They asked me to stay while they went out of town for a week. I was happy for the quiet and extra pay. First 2 nights, nothing weird. I'd watch TV downstairs, do chores, go to bed. The only odd thing was that at night, I kept hearing the back door creak, but I chalked it up to wind and loose hinges. On the 3rd night, I woke around 2 a.m. The house felt heavier, the kind of heavy you can feel. Then footsteps upstairs, slow, methodical, not quite pacing, just deliberate. I paused, thought maybe the old couple had left something upstairs. I told myself it was probably just a branch hitting the window, or maybe a raccoon on the porch. I grabbed my phone flashlight, creeping up the stairs. The wooden steps moaned under my weight. At the top, I saw their bedroom door slightly ajar. Warm light seeping out, even though I knew the light was off. I stuck my head in, empty. Then, I saw movement out of the corner of my eye. In the hallway mirror, a silhouette of a person standing behind me reflected. I spun around, nobody. My heart thumping, I backed away, slipped, and dropped my phone. The flashlight flickered and revealed vague shadows in the hallway, shapes moving just beyond the reach of light. I ran downstairs, locked all doors, called the police. When they arrived, they found footprints, muddy, small, going from the back door, through the kitchen, then up the stairs. But by then, the intruder was gone. The weirdest part? There was no sign of forced entry. The door was latched, but not locked. The hinge had worn away. And the old couple later told me they always kept a spare key under the mat. Someone knew that. I left the next day. I never stayed that house again. But at night, whenever I hear footsteps behind me, I startle. Because I know how quiet a house should be when everyone's gone, and how little it sometimes takes for something unseen to make it alive again. This one's from a friend of mine. She lives alone in a small rural town. Phone service is patchy. She works nights. It was near 4 a.m. when she finished work. She drove down long, empty roads, dark tree lines, no streetlights. When she got home, she parked in her driveway, turned off the car. The only sound was her breathing, engine cooling, wind rattling leaves. She unlocked the door and went inside. About 20 minutes later, her phone rang. Unknown number. She didn't recognize it. She answered, static, then soft whispering. She thought it might be someone messing around. She hung up, tried to go back to sleep. A while later, same thing. Unknown number, whispering. She answered again. I know you're inside. She froze. That wasn't her. Nobody should know she was there. She checked locks. All locked. Windows shut. Dogs in kitchen. Nothing unusual. The whispering calls kept coming, intermittently through the night. Each time, the voice sounded closer, more confident. It knew the layout of her house. Said things like, I'm in the hallway. I see your shoes by the door. Why are the lights off upstairs? Her blood ran cold. She grabbed a flashlight and tiptoed to the top of the stairs. No one. But she saw a figure at the end of the hall, just standing in the darkness. She dropped the flashlight. It rolled, flickered, then went off. Silence. Nobody else was home. But in the morning she found muddy footprints, faint, small, leading from the back door to the front, then upstairs. She doesn't know how they got in. She doesn't know how they made those calls. And every time her phone rings now, from an unknown number at night, she doesn't answer. Maybe tonight, when you're lying in bed, you'll wonder if someone knows you're home. Maybe you'll check the locks again, the windows, or maybe, like them, you'll pretend it was just the wind. Because sometimes, it's less scary to believe you're imagining it than to believe something real might be in the shadows. If you enjoyed these true stories, hit like, subscribe, share, and leave your own scary encounter in the comments. I might read it in the next video. Until then, keep your phone nearby, your doors locked, and good night.